Hey y'all. Before we chat, I just want to do a quick sound check. Dom, can you hear me? Can you say something? I hear you loud and clear. Can anyone confirm? Okay, can't hear Dom. That's not good. All right, let me try one thing. All right. Dom, say something.
Hey, something, stuff,
All
stuff
right.
and things.
Perfect. Dom being
Dom being
silent is
silent is
very
unusual.
unusual. Yeah. All right, I think we're good.
I'm gonna be quiet this entire stream now. Watch.
Is anything to the follow? Challenge accepted, Dom. So y'all, thanks for hanging out. Thanks for coming by. Dom hit me up on Twitter and he's like, "Yo, we need to catch up. We need to brainstorm some content ideas." And obviously, I was like, "Hell yeah, I'm going to jump on any opportunity to catch up with Dom." But then we were like, why don't we just stream this? We want to make more content, so let's just make content out of making content. So we have not planned anything. Dom and I haven't really talked in probably a few months, like maybe before the holiday.
Months. It's definitely months.
It's been too long. But Dom, thanks for hanging out. How have you been?
Dude. First of all, in the vein of it's been months, man. Like it's good to chat again, man. I miss you.
Likewise.
Things have been crazy, man. Things have been busy. I think everybody's dealing with the weirdness that is the life that we still live right now. But I think on top of that, like work and some side hustle stuff has been really, really keeping me heads down. And I don't know, I've just been kind of like lost in the sauce. How about you?
Yeah, I hear that. Kind of the same. The holidays are obviously busy. You're spending time with family, and then I just bought a new house, which we can talk about a little bit more. I know you moved as well, and moving is just—it doesn't seem that bad until you're really in the thick of it, and it is rough. Just sucks up a lot of time, a lot
Especially
of
like
money.
when did you move? Like when did you actually pack things up and move stuff?
First week of January.
First week of January. So I did mine like December 19th was my move-in date. And it was not fun, dude. Like still was icy on the roads. Like we
Yeah.
pulled up the truck and thankfully like our little like complex has a private little parking area. So we were able to bring the truck up that. Otherwise the entire road on Front Street is it like stepped out of the car and immediately three of my friends fell. So
Ooh,
that's
that's awful. And yeah,
yeah.
Chris moved as well, and it looks like Will also moved recently. So we got a lot of
Let's
people picking
go.
stuff up and putting stuff back down. Um,
Freaking picking things up. Party corgis pick things up and put them down. Know that.
that's right. Shout out to the mobility channel, endurance and mobility channel. Um,
That's
but yeah, back to back, moving and holidays, and now we're just getting pummeled by snow. I know you're only about 45 minutes from me. You're getting the snowstorm too. Obviously, it's not as bad as what's going on in other parts of the United States, but I spent my morning shoveling. So yeah, where are you now?
so I'm right over like in Northern Liberties, northish, like right over the bridge, honestly, from South Jersey. Like uh I don't know if you've ever been to the Dave and Buster's in the city, but I'm literally like a hop, skip, and a jump from the D&B. If I look out on like over, if I look outside, I literally see the Epic Fun sign from
That's
Dave and
cool.
Buster's. So that's I know I'm missing out on Epic Fun at all moments.
So are you all settled in? Your setup looks great. I mean, the mic, the camera. I see you got a little
Thank
bit
you.
of a blur going on in the background there.
And we got the lights, so I can be like extremely pasty and blow up your entire screen with my absolute shiny skin. We can bring it down a little bit. But yeah, no, I'm honestly fully moved in, set up. We finally got like a couch for upstairs, and really like my setup. Before I was doing it in a like a very small kind of cubicle room, and I just felt myself like in a dungeon almost all the time. And then we got this new place, and it was definitely bigger, and it had a full finished basement. So I was able to move my setup kind of into the corner, and I have like a full area that was kind of the same amount of area. I got the whiteboard, but I have like the kind of same area that I had before for working, but then also a full basement that way. I have like a little couch and TV set up too. So it's nice. Like I get to get done working and I don't have to go to like all the way down to, downstairs to the living room like I had to before. Now I can just kind of walk over, sit, relax after a call. And it's, I don't know, it's definitely helped my, like with having to be home as much as we are. And I always tell people like getting your feng shui, your area in any way that you can to be a more, happy and comfortable area. It means so much during these kind of remote times. And being remote, even without the pandemic, I'm trying to think of ways to kind of get myself into a better, habitual day-to-day, status with myself. But, I think everybody has their problems with that. How about you? How's the, are you fully settled in? Do you feel comfortable? You still got things to do?
Yeah, all of the above. I really hear you on the, trying to get in some sort of habit or pattern to, be productive and comfortable. And moving kind of throws a big wrench in that. Everything you had set up before is now all of a sudden different. For me, I changed the people I was living with as well as, where I was living. So it's a pretty big change. Wow. But I'm getting there. The space I'm in right now is quite good. For streaming, for recording, for working. I'm working on a new space. I think I'm going to move into a bit of a smaller room to allow me to take this green screen down sometimes if I want, and maybe do some retro game streams as well. I have to say I'm pretty jealous of that whiteboard. I recently tweeted about how I want a whiteboard, and you've got the one. It's giant, and I want that.
I'll tell you what. So I used to have it. I used to have it long way at my old place, and so directly to my right is a window for like the great. So like that's an even nicer thing. I'm like right next to an open window, so I get a lot of sunlight, a lot more than I was getting before. And so I used to have it long ways, and then I got here and I was like, okay, like I had to figure out how this is gonna work. So like the whole wall behind me, I hit with the acoustic foam, and then right here I was like, okay, where the heck am I gonna put this whiteboard? I did it like tall, long ways. I love it so much. It is literally the nicest thing to just be able to, because I can be sitting and just roll over and bang out some quick things. And I think
I want
that and I have I bought an iPad and I didn't use it for a while. And then I found myself recently, probably within the last month, using the crap out of it with the pencil.
That's awesome. My wife uses the pencil a lot, and I think it's on my list of investments of things to upgrade. I think camera might be number one. Yeah. The iPad is definitely on there. So
whiteboard is number one.
True. Yeah, it's probably pretty easy to get because it's probably not going to be too expensive. Just need a place to put it.
Yeah, I think I got this one behind me for like $30, $40 on Amazon.
Hey, Trost says there's big volume differences. Is Dom quiet? I can turn him up.
Let's say my gain is like halfway on my Focusrite. Dom is quiet.
All right, let me turn Dom up a lot.
That's the first time I've ever heard someone say, "Let me turn Dom up a lot."
I don't regret it. Okay. I think I
just talk in all caps.
I think I just doubled Dom's volume. How's that?
How is it now? Do you need me any louder? You probably don't. Nobody wants that. It's better. All right.
Hey, Nikki.
Let's freaking go, baby!
You only went in the red just a little bit right there, so I think we're good.
All right, cool.
It's a little louder. Could be louder still. All right.
This is the most. I want to record. I'm clipping this later because not this many people ever have sanctioned themselves to vote for a louder Dom. I appreciate y'all.
On that note, I added a new command here, the Dom command. So if anyone here doesn't know who Domitrius is, we've got !Dom in the chat, and you can get his Twitter and his Twitch And his catchphrase. I mean, I had to
I
put it in
love
there.
that.
It's in
I
quotes,
love that.
so
I'm gonna put. I'm gonna throw in some let's goes emoji as well.
Chris, you have a point. Missed opportunity. You know, there will be a next time. We can make up for it.
Link
Definitely
to a
some
clip. I
clips.
definitely have many clips of me screaming "Let's go." There's no doubt there.
I mean, if you're cool with it, I
But yeah,
could throw it in
I
the
think next.
rotation of subscription alerts. It's just you coming up on screen.
I'm I'm perfectly happy to be your non like involved hype man that you use whenever you need it. That's what I find myself being now. So like if you could turn me into memeable format, I think it goes up from there.
Hell yeah.
Dom GIF alert, see?
All right.
Dom was born to be a hype man. That's fair.
Please let us know if the volume ever needs to be adjusted. So how has work been, Dom? You still at Cloudinary?
Still a Cloudinary. Work has been really freaking interesting, man. Like I think this last year has taught me a lot about what I perceive DevRel to be over what it could be in certain companies. I think I've learned a lot about what I would do with the proper power in place to make hires and kind of direct what our focuses would be. I've also probably done more design work in the last 5 months than I've done in my entire career. And I didn't say it was good design work. You heard me specifically say just design work.
Cool. That's really cool.
And I've been working on an internal platform on top of MD Next. So I'm actually putting my money where my mouth is, building something with MD Next internally at work. And I'm working with a contractor from this dot. His name is Jesse. The man is a literal joy. He makes working on this project so much fun. I'm really excited to be working with him. And then, yeah, I don't know. I've been really trying to cement to myself what I believe good DX and a good DevRel team or somebody who works in DevRel, what that should look like depending on your product. And I think I've gotten pretty far with that. How about yourself, dude? I'm really interested in hearing like what's going on with you and how, it's going and how you like what you're focused on right now. Cause I know you stepped back from where you were really focusing, which was like, the content and being a part of kind of moving content. And now you're empowering content. So what's that feel like?
Good question. Yeah, work definitely picked up a lot when started. And that combined with the pandemic and holidays and moving and shoveling, the content creation has definitely slowed down. But I want to fix that this year. And I think, you also want to increase your content creation or ramp it up over the next few months. At least that's what it sounds like. But working on has been great. I'm learning a lot. Working across like multiple web applications. We have an app to share your recordings. We have an app to manage your account. We have a website. Some other things in the works that I can't talk about yet. But there's just a lot of learning going on and code being written. So much code being written that I'm struggling to find time to turn that into educational content. I'm learning a lot about video and how video behaves in the browser across all your devices, how to create a custom video player from scratch, which is a very difficult task. And there's a lot of cool APIs in the browser to do what the native video player gives us. And I would love to turn that into tidbits of educational content. Just need to figure out the right way to do that and find the right time to make it happen.
To be honest, I think working at Cloudinary gives me a pretty unique perspective on like kind of what you're doing, because before Cloudinary definitely was nowhere near, and I still don't think that I am a media expert, like in understanding how media and the web and what the web already has and what it needs and things like that. Like I'm very much so learning a lot about that just through honestly a lot of the educators that we interact with within the community. Like we have the MDEs, and the MDEs are always pushing out new media content. So I learned a lot from them, and obviously from the APIs that we've built internally. Like I've learned a lot about what is and what isn't existing, and ways to kind of, I don't know,
What's an
improve the
MDE?
experience. And media developer expert. It's like a GDE, but for Cloudinary.
Cool.
But yeah, man, I this is a complicated space, and I think media as a whole on the web is a space that people are still learning a lot about. And like, you see a lot of meta frameworks coming out with their own image components. You see a lot of meta frameworks that are coming out with their own, like, an interesting tool like Remotion that creates videos based off of, OG images. Like, I think there's a lot still that is not a low-hanging fruit, because that makes it sound like it's easy, but for content's sake is something that a lot of people still need a lot of education around. And I know I'm excited to see what you put out, but I think the people that are here right now, especially in the Party Corgi, like, I feel like that's a topic that isn't spoken about much. So I feel like it's going to be really interesting to see that start coming out.
Yeah, for sure. There's not much out there, especially when you get into really advanced applications like, streaming video, streaming chunks, not streaming like we're doing now, but like, downloading a video as you play it so that you don't have to download the whole MP4.
Yep. The whole MP4.
Yeah, that's not built in. That's something that people have to roll themselves. There are services out there to help with it. Cloudinary might be one of them. There's a couple other ones out there too.
Multi-parting and things like that.
Yeah, it's still a non-trivial thing to implement. And I'd love to create some content around that. You mentioned you're working on MD Next at Cloudinary, or you're using MD Next to power some of your Cloudinary work. That seems like a dream come true. How has that been?
So I think my work with the hooks that I built first, the Cloudinary hooks, led me to, like, first of all, I think the coolest thing about open source is that I'm building these tools to specifically help me, right? Like, I know that I knew that I was going to be building a lot of websites that needed Cloudinary media stuff built in. I knew that I was going to need to be able to handle interesting concept flows, like whether it's a blog or an education platform. And MDX is just like such a great answer to that. So for me, like, I started building MD Next as a way to like help myself start scaffolding projects faster, but also because I saw, just an interesting way to breed an opinion into life, right? Like, these are the opinions that I have for the things that I do, and if you like them, great. If you don't, rip them out and put your own in. And I was able to sell that as a building block at Cloudinary, because the one thing that I think a lot of companies are realizing now is it's not just about the technology that you produce. It's about the way that you impact, like, open source technologies, and the way that you perceive yourself to be an authority in this space. It doesn't happen by just the things that you put out. It happens by the people that you hire being involved in these spaces. And I that for me was like, I was like, listen, MD Next is not only something that I want as a personal win, but like, it's also something where I get to show a really interesting take on how Cloudinary can be implemented in today's meta framework of Next.js, and how you can start to think about Cloudinary in the serverless world. And because, even if I were to leave Cloudinary, I think MD Next would still be powered by Cloudinary internally, because I think that it takes a lot of the hard work for lifting media in the ways that, we were kind of talking about, and simplifies it. And so I can't talk much about it, but we're building an education-esque platform currently, and it is built fully on top of MD Next. We're using things like, we have Sanity, Hasura, Auth0, like a bunch of really, really fun tools. We're using Chakra, so I've been building a ton of Chakra components. It's cool. It's cool to like have built something, and then the Jesse, the contractor I'm working with, came to me and was like, I'm gonna tell you right now, dude, we shaved like a month and a half off of our work just by having this set up from the gate. He's like, this has been a really nice experience to build some new product with. And I was like, that is what I want for other people. Like I want
That's
other
awesome.
people to be able to be like, it's the same as you see like, Blitz.js and Redwood and all of these other kind of like opinion built-in meta frameworks that are built
Yeah.
on top of the Gatsby's and the Next.js is like, that's all to help empower people building stuff, right? And I
It's a
think
really
that
strong starting
MD Next
point.
can serve as a free alternative. Get yourself up and running with something that's a little bit less configured and have some fun with it. I built MD Next overlays recently, which is just a way to hook into Twitch APIs within inside of MD Next and use MDX data as your scene data, so that anytime you need to change your scene data, you can just update the MDX.
It's really powerful.
And that was like one of the most fun projects I built in a long time, to be honest. Like building like custom Twitch hooks, ways to interact with Twitch within serverless functions that are almost like a Redis connection, like those types of challenges. Like you're gonna run into, and I enjoyed running into them. So yeah, I don't know. It is. I would say it is a dream come true to be able to kind of work on something that you believe in as a part of your daily work. For sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And Cloudinary is getting value from, the knowledge and work that you put in before even, coming there. And that's super cool. We kind of set up this call to talk about content creation, and I see a lot of possibilities with MD Next. Have you considered creating, videos around how to utilize MD Next, or maybe demo videos on how you're using, or you could feature people who are using your libraries and kind of demonstrate how, this person's using the overlays on their Twitch stream and how they're doing it. Look at the code.
Yeah, I think what I started having people using it more recently, and I had taken a break on maintaining it for probably about a month or two while I was like pretty deep in work stuff. And it like it bothered me. Like I wanted to keep working on it, but I knew that I couldn't. I recently linked up with Alex with Xander, and he's gonna come and help me build out a website for MD Next. And something that I believe very passionately is documentation should come almost alongside like a video course for like setting a project up and having like small like almost Egghead-esque snippets for certain pages, to where if somebody wants to skip reading the documentation, they can just watch a quick video about how to scaffold a project. Or I've definitely thought about videos where like I take MD Next blogs template, which is out of the box local MDX data, and transferring over to a CMS like Sanity or Graph CMS or something like that, so that you can see the process in which. What I really like about the reason MD Next came to life was in the base tools for MDX and Next, as you know very well, it's very geared towards how you would receive markdown data from a local file and reading local files.
Right.
And Next MDX Remote gave me the power to say, okay, like, let's write some utilities around getting local files so that it's as easy as other people kind of have it in their own frameworks, but then also make it so that as long as you structure your markdown files the same way anywhere else, if you were to go to Sanity or Graph CMS and set up markdown there, you wouldn't have to change anything about any of your components. All you'd have to do is change how you source the data. And I think that's really powerful.
That is really powerful.
I agree with you. I think that's, if I get into creating videos again, which I really want to, and I have Adobe Premiere now, which I'm want to practice and play around with. But I think the one thing I got to do is start planning by creating the videos, like, or the projects for them, like going and creating what it would look like from, the one thing I've learned with Egghead is like, know what you're building first and then break it into how you teach it. So I think I got to get better at that for sure.
Cool. Building that website, more content ideas for you, Dom. Building that website could be something you stream. You could even, do a pair stream with Xander. I know Xander streams.
I can't wait to start streaming again, dude.
Yeah. Well, this is the start.
You're pushing me
this
to
is
get
it.
Back to streaming for sure.
This is us starting to stream again.
Exactly.
Hey,
we
Kurt,
were
what's
doing
up?
good for a little bit, but life is rough, dude.
It really is. It's keeping consistent.
Is that Kurt Kemple? Is that the worst dev?
It is.
Is that the Hokage himself? Is that
it's coming
Naruto?
Through.
I think it is. Hokage dev? I think so. But yeah, I don't know. You see a lot of the people in this chat right now who do such a good job at the juggling that is content and regular work. And
Yeah.
I look up to those people for sure for inspiration. And I don't know, it gets hard, right? Because there's so many things that you want to do, but you can't do it all. So I've been trying to
Right.
be a lot more forgiving with myself about the things that I do and don't accomplish within a specific time span. Like we still have time. Like there's time for us to do this and that. And I think that the expertise that you're building at work and the things that you're working on are only going to empower the educator in you anyway. So I don't think
Really
there's
well
any
said.
wasted time.
Yeah. It's definitely it's easy to get down on myself for, I look at other people
Oh
creating
yeah.
content every day, tweeting every day, streaming consistently, and I'm like, damn,
Yeah. Well,
I wish I could do that
yeah.
and still pay the bills, and it's hard, but here we are, and like you said, there is still time.
That's a strong regimen. That's like the people that do that. Like let's talk Chris Biscardi, right? Like Chris didn't overnight figure out all of the ways that he can be productive to put out the types of content. Like he had the same, and every time I talk to him, he has the same doubts and struggles to this day about creating content and if it's enough or not. And
Mhm.
and I think that that's important is realizing that feeling doesn't go away whether you're 6 years deep into content or brand new to content. You're always in a position where you're what else could I be doing in this time? And that's just never going to get you anywhere. So I think you personally are taking the right step right here, right now in doing this stream and doing this communication stuff, because what we used to do is over plan. We would always, what is it going to look like? What's it going to do? Like, that's not a live stream. That's planned content. And I think this type of thing, like hopping on with somebody and just chatting about what's going on is an important piece of the pie too.
Yeah, for sure. I was definitely really nervous. How am I going to fit this in? What are we going to talk about? We didn't plan at all, and I'm kind of the over planning kind of person, less of a spontaneous person. But I'm really glad that we made this happen. So Dom, what are you looking forward to? Like that could be anything. It doesn't have to be coding, work related. What are you looking forward to right now? What's on your mind? What's getting you excited?
So a lot of people have been seeing a little bit more of my public community work that I've been doing. Orbit put out a blog post. I've been working with Orbit One to move their community from Slack, and it's a mostly B2B community where they handle communication with some of their close partners that are helping them kind of shape the product. So it was more than just figuring out how to get a public community there. It was how do you move a private community into the public and kind of mesh the two. And so that's what I've been really excited about is I keep learning new and interesting things about community development and really like what it means to be a product with a community. So I think I'm excited to see the future of community and metrics and products around them, because, not that I want everything to become this marketing soup, but I think that people deserve better places if they're going to be on the internet, and I want to lead the charge to make the better places exist. I just formed I'm in the process of forming my first solo LLC, second LLC that I've been a part
Congrats.
of. Thank you. So yeah, dude, I'm just like the possibilities of what I'm accomplishing at work are really cool, but I think I've fallen into this weird position of entrepreneurial pieces that I've been doing with this consulting. And I feel
Yeah.
like everybody I talk to that does consulting has fallen into it in this kind of the same way. Like this wasn't something that I was actively trying to push, and the worst dev himself is to blame for pushing out the work that we did with GraphQL Summit, and now
Yeah, I remember that.
people are trusting what I can do with community. So I don't know. I think that's what I'm most excited about. That and we talked a bunch about MD Next, but MD Next is really, I think it's going to teach me a lot, and I'm excited. Like I'm just I've never felt. I was talking to somebody else about this the other day. I've never felt this excited to continue learning, and I'm 4 or 5 years deep, right? Like I think that's the coolest thing about what we do is, you don't have to love it. You don't have to be passionate about it. Like, that's all grifty bullshit that your local JavaScript Twitter account will give you.
Yeah.
But I think that it is cool to like it, and I'm not going to not talk about how much I do enjoy learning it. So
100%.
I think I'm a lifelong learner with this stuff, whether it's, maybe eventually it's not code, right? Maybe eventually it's what you can do with the code in a product that can change something. But yeah, I don't know. I'm still in I've been here for a while and I still feel like a baby, and that's cool to me. How about you, dude? Like, I haven't shut up and I want to hear more about you. So please tell me, like, what do you want to do with your content creation, and what types of steps are you going to take to get there?
Good questions. I do want to touch on one thing you said though, which is that you're excited to learn. That's a feeling I've definitely had in the past, and I'm kind of feeling more recently too. But my point being that feeling can come and go, and I think that's okay. Sometimes, I just wake up and I have to go through the motions, and then write the code and close the tickets. But then other times I'm pumped. I wake up and I'm like, I just can't wait to build this feature or learn this thing. And our lives have different seasons, just like the year has different seasons, and that's okay. It's okay not to be excited about code, and it's also okay to be excited and passionate about it. In terms of what kind of content,
I think I felt more that way.
Go ahead.
Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
I think I felt more that way when I was in like UI and product development, like where it would ebb and flow. And I think that speaks a lot to, and I don't know how this works at so don't let me, stomp all over it. But one of the things that I disliked about product work was I found myself lost in the loop of enterprise feedback, where you're just building features based off of a high-paying client's kind of understanding of your product. And I think that if you're lucky enough to work somewhere where you're involved in more conversations and like before, like design and PMs would come to me with a feature and I'd be like, okay, but what about this and this? And they'd be like, don't worry about any of that, build it. And I'm like, but it could be, and they're like, nah. We spent 3 weeks planning this. Get out of my face. And I'm like, but where was I during those 3 weeks? Like, why wouldn't you bring any of us into that conversation? So I feel like I felt a lot less enthused until, like you said, there were moments of like, okay, at least I get to like work on a feature that A, either I believe in, or B, has some technology implications that are kind of exciting. But I think that ebb and flow happened a lot more in product work, and I think that's what content helped me with, like creating stuff outside of work, like workshops and whatever I was doing back when I was working in product stuff. Like that's where I felt my most joy.
For sure. It keeps your, like, those kind of side projects keep your creative mind going, and a lot of times they like get me through, having something to look forward to working on after work. Kind of gets me through those hard times. We've all probably had bad clients or bad jobs, people are not excited to be working with, and you can't always just fix that just like that. Sometimes
up and leave or fix it. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. It takes a lot of time and a lot of extra work to find the right space and also pay the bills. But yeah, I want to double down on content creation this year and try and figure out a way to juggle work and content creation. I think it was maybe Joel who said that something along the lines of the best time to create content or educational content about a particular topic is when you are learning it. And I find that to be true. Joel, don't hate me if that wasn't you who said that, but I find that to be true over and over again, where I'm learning a new thing. For example, I just learned a ton about the full screen API in the browser. So you could make the document full screen, or you could make just one div with an ID full screen. And how does that work? There's a lot of nuances to it across different browsers, behaving different ways, mobile devices, tablet devices, et cetera, et cetera. And, I would love to have made content about that while I was learning it. And now I'm like, a week past it, and I'm not as passionate about making that content about the full screen API. Maybe I still will. Maybe I'll go back to it. But I've shipped that feature. Yeah. You can now make recordings full screen. But yeah, so how do I, when there's a fast-paced startup environment and I'm learning new things, how do I also have some artifacts come out of the things that I'm working on at work?
Yeah.
Because sometimes there's not time for me to go say, oh, I'm going to go learn TypeScript and blog about it. When, I have a house to take care of and a wife, etc. There's not that time outside of work to just, take on a new side project. So I can kind of, multi-purpose what I'm doing at work, abstract it away from, anything sensitive or work related, and just make it something generally helpful to everyone, including myself, my future self. The next time I implement something with the full screen API, I'm definitely going to want to go back and look at my blog post or look at my old code.
I think that's what I find a lot of the people who are like really consistent, they say that a lot. Like, I honestly probably revisit my own content more than anything else because I find myself dealing with very similar problems. But yeah, you're totally right. And even as somebody who works in DevRel where content is king, you don't always get the time to focus specifically on content. And it's been something that really bothered me at work. And I've had many discussions with my boss about just how to keep in mind that people don't. The reason DevRel exists is not, to me, is not to sell people blind trust to the product. To me, it's creating trust in the developer ecosystems that you exist in, as Domitrius Clark, not as Cloudinary Domitrius, as Domitrius Clark. And I couldn't work somewhere that I don't think would benefit somebody because I'm too honest to sit here and bullshit people into using something. And that is why people, so Alex Strauss is in here. He really opened my eyes in a conversation we had. And he told me, I am much more likely to try Cloudinary because I trust you. He's like,
that's really cool.
Didn't ever really look at it before. He's like, but I know for a fact that either if I run into a problem using it, I can go to you, or if I need a quick jump start, I can go to you. And that, to me, is why content is important and how you display yourself in the public community. Like, even as a non-DevRel, places hire you, people care about you in this industry and sometimes not. Sometimes when you're just a real, excuse my friends, piece of shit, sometimes somehow you still get notoriety. But
that's
to
true.
Me and the people that I care about, it's about how genuine you are and the way that you, like, for me, I started in this industry by wanting to help other bootcamp grads, right? Like, because I was a bootcamp grad myself, and
right.
That's never left for me. So I don't know. It goes down a weird hole of like, what does not creating content do? Do you have to create content to even be, what is relevancy? I don't know. It's a whole drain of BS conversation, to be completely honest with you. But
yeah,
I don't know. I think that, if content makes you happy, dude, you got to find a way to it's all planning in very small and big sprints. Like, yep. What is the tiniest way that you can plan something, and how do you make it into a more elaborate plan? I think that's what I've seen be successful for a lot of people. For
sure. I also feel like it builds on itself. Like, I feel more motivated to make more content once I get started. So like putting out one blog post makes me want to put out a second blog post.
You're like scared, right? Like, it's like you're scared of something. It's the nervousness, the building up of the weird. It's like an id blocker. Like, you can't you can't bring to where I can't. Like, to me, I'm always like, all right, today I'm going to bang out some ideas for content, and I'll write it down. I'll put it on the whiteboard. And I'm like, yeah. And then I don't actually do any of the shit that I write. And then a week and a half later, I'm looking at the white. That's why it's blank right now. It's I look at this whiteboard of 90 things that I've planned, and I'm so overwhelmed that I'm like, screw it. I'm not touching any of this. I'll get to it.
Yeah.
And it's like this innate fear of starting that really
starting
is hard for inexperienced people to get past. Starting is hard.
Not just content. Starting anything is difficult. 100%.
Anything. You can talk yourself out of anything.
Yeah.
Right? You can talk yourself out of anything.
We got a few minutes left. And one thing I do want to touch on is that I'm really excited for Reactadelphia to come back. I don't know if that's going to be in 3 months, in 6 months, or next year. And I know we haven't even talked about this. I don't even know if you're still doing Reactadelphia, if that's even still a thing. I don't know. But if it is, I'm going to be there at the next in-person meetup. So
I will touch on that. So at the end of the year, as a team, we decided, it was a real big stressor on all of us to keep up with engaging others, to expect them to do something. To me, there were so many things happening in the world at the same time. Every meetup was going remote. Every conference was going remote. People were sitting on Zoom for hours in a day, on their calls, on their this and their that. And I felt bad engaging people. This is also when like the Black Lives Matter movement was getting super strong, and I was trying to be involved where I could there. And I was like, this just isn't the time for this. And I am having a hard time picking back up what we left off with. I miss, you know how much I loved them in person. And the cool part is we always did it split, where it was remote and in person. But I didn't like the format anymore. I think the format as a whole gets stale, where you're just listening to people talk about React topics. And, we had a frank discussion in the community the other day about the fact that some of our members felt like we weren't helping understand the basics of React. We weren't catering to all skill levels. We almost got to a point where all of our talks felt too advanced for people to come and listen, and they felt like it was too over their head. So I was already sick of the format. And one thing that we did when we were in person was a split workshop where we taught basic state management. And in another one, it was like how to make your extension communicate with the web app. So it was like two hugely different workshops. And it went great. Like half and half of the members went to one of the other rooms and learned about the things that they were comfortable to learn. And I really want to get back to that. So me and Ryan Harris have been discussing mini workshops and learning groups and ways to get people together. And how we're going to get people hired in Philly during these times is a big focus for 2021 Reactadelphia. So we were thinking about having something in February. We might push it to March. I think Ryan's going to do something with teaching about how to use Git in a way that is kind of like the way you would use Git in a workplace. And yeah, so I think that's going to be our focus. If we can get back to, I don't think we're going to be in person until next year, to be completely honest with you. It's just not, I don't think it's possible. I think any conferences or meetups that are like, come October, you can come out to blah, blah, blah. I think you're sadly mistaken. You're going to look like a jackass when you're not giving me my money back.
Yeah, I think you're probably right.
So I don't know. It's hard. I think Reactadelphia as a whole is really important to me, but I really want to do something that I think is impactful and not just do it for people to know that we're doing something. So
awesome. Well, if you need a workshop leader or a speaker when that time comes, please feel free to hit me up. I'm down to get back to the basics.
I will.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah,
all right,
man. I would love to have you. I would love to have you.
I do want to be respectful of your time. I know you have something to get to. Thank you so much for chatting. Thanks to everyone for hanging out. It was good to see everyone. And Dom, we should not let this many months pass before we before we hang out again.
Dude, I mean, you know where to find me, bro. It's both of us too. It's I miss a lot of, you get so wrapped up in BS, but thank you so much for having me on. I love that it's never like a stream with us, that it's always kind of some conversation. So whenever you want to do this for whatever topic, you know where to find me. I'm always down.
Hell yeah. Sounds good. Much love,
Thanks,
Dom.
dude.
Peace,
Later,
y'all.
y'all. Thanks for coming out. Love y'all. Sorry for being so quiet.